Hey everybody, how are you? Happy Wednesday, happy hump day. Artemis Scantilides here, owner of Iron Body Training Systems, Iron Body by Artemis, and the Women's Strength Workshop, I'm Not Afraid to Lift. I wanted to hop on here real quick today and just give you another tip for your pistol squat. So last week I talked about one tip to help make your pistol squat stronger, help to build a stronger pistol squat. And if you missed that, then you can check it out. It's on my IGTV, so you can go ahead and check that tip out. And last week I mentioned I had 2 tips, so here's the second tip. And before I get into it, real quick, I'm Not Afraid to Lift Seattle is coming up on June 8th. So we have 5 spots left. If you're interested in coming, I hope you will. And the link is in the bio to sign up for that. And then I have a couple of lift workshops coming up in the fall. I haven't announced the dates yet, but that will be coming up later as well. All right, so now on to one tip to help you to build a stronger pistol squat. So when I was training for the Iron Maiden Challenge, the other thing that I did, in addition to the tip that I talked about last week, which you could check out in my IGTV, was that I trained single leg deadlifts once a week. So training that single leg movement, so the pistol squat is a knee dominant single leg movement, but training the hinge pattern, a single leg hinge, that will help you to build strength for the single leg knee dominant movement. And what I did was I would train equally loaded, so I would use the same weight, and I would use 2 weights when I trained the single leg deadlift. And I built up, and I was up to, I think at some point I was using double 28 kilogram bells, which is 120 pounds on one leg. So that helped me that was more than my body weight, so that helped me to become really, really strong on one leg. Now, when you set up for it, if you're using the same weights, what you want to do is you want to have the weights on either side of your foot here. And one thing you want to look for is you want to make sure that you keep your hips square. So as you hinge over, you want to keep these hips square. You want to make sure you don't open up, because as soon as you open up, that starts to be, that's rotation on your lumbar spine with load if you have weight in your hand. So you want to work really hard to keep those hips square. One thing that will help you to do that is if you keep your free leg straight and flexed, and you keep it very, very active, and you kick through that leg and you squeeze your butt real tight as you hinge over, that's going to help you to keep square hips as you're going through that single leg deadlift. Now, you can start, what I usually do when I train them is I usually pull them off from the floor here to come up, and then I'll just touch my toe in between each rep as I go through the set. If that's challenging for you to pull them off the floor initially as your first rep, you can just go ahead, pick them up, bring them by your sides, kick your leg back, hinge over, and you can go into your single leg deadlift that way. Now, if you're finding that you're having trouble maintaining neutral spine, keeping your hips square, by working all the way down to the floor and up, you can elevate them, which is why I have these steps, just to provide an example. You can set up the weights on steps, and then you can just position yourself between the steps. So that will help to bring the floor to you, so it makes it a little bit easier to go through that single leg deadlift movement. If you don't have steps available, and say you have something like barbell plates, you can stack barbell plates, you can do that too. The other way is if you don't have barbell plates or any steps or anything to help bring the floor to you and help raise it, you can train a Romanian single leg deadlift. And what a Romanian single leg deadlift is when you hinge over, you're just going to bring the bell to mid shin. So if I'm here, I'm not going to touch the floor with the weights. I'm just going to hinge over, come to mid shin, drive through my heel, and come all the way up. So that's an option if bringing the bells to the floor and pulling them from the floor is challenging and you don't have anything to elevate them on, then you can train the Romanian single leg deadlift. Lastly, if using 2 weights is just too much weight right now, you can start out by just using 1 weight, and you can do a contralateral single leg deadlift. I'll demonstrate that. Let's move these out of the way here. So contralateral single leg deadlift, that would be holding the weight in the hand that's opposite the working leg. And why I like the contralateral single leg deadlift as opposed to the ipsilateral is when you have the weight on the same side, is this is gonna help to counterbalance, right? So if you're working this leg and having the weight here, it's gonna help to counterbalance. It will be easier for you to keep your hips square as you're going through the movement. So again, and you can do the same thing. You can, if it's easy for you to bring the belt from the floor and train all the way down to the floor, then do that. If it's challenging, then you can raise it with a step or some barbell plates. If those are not available to you and it's challenging to train to the floor and back, then again, just take it to a Romanian single leg deadlift. And then when you build strength, after the contralateral single leg deadlift becomes easy, then you can go ahead and add 2 weights and you can start loading that. So if you're training for a stronger pistol squat, I would recommend programming in single leg deadlifts once a week, at least once a week, and that will help you to build strength for your pistol squat. I hope that tip helped you today. And again, ladies, if you are here on the West Coast, on the west side of the United States, or up in Seattle, I hope that you will join us for I'm Not Afraid to Lift at Fuel House Gym. We have 5 spots left. Link is in my bio to sign up. And I will see you all very soon. Have a really great rest of your week. Take care.